What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Pac-12 football channel. What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we're going to give you our 2020 pre-spring power rankings for the Pac-12. This is based off of returning production. Looking a little bit at the recruiting classes, not a whole lot, but that does have a little bit of an impact. And just trying to project ahead to 2020. Haven't done all the evaluation that I will do for all these teams, so this could change. We'll have a post-spring power rankings as well after we go through all the spring practices, and then a preseason power ranking as well once we get into probably August. So let's go through and give you just our initial thoughts on these teams. Number 12 is Colorado. Mel Tucker left this team, went to Michigan State, so you lose your head coach, and they're going to have a third different head coach in 3 years, plus they lose a ton of production. I mean, this team got wiped out, especially on offense. They lose most of their production. Only 36% of their production returns on offense. So I think it's going to be a rough year for Colorado. Some growing pains a little bit. We'll see how they look in the future, but right now I think Colorado might actually be the worst team in the Pac-12. We usually say Oregon State will be the worst team. They had a pretty solid year last year. Surprised me. I did not see them. They won a couple conference games. So yeah, I think Oregon State finally gets out of the cellar in our preseason power rankings, at least. You look at this team and what they bring back. They don't bring back a ton, especially on offense, just 35% of their offense, but 82% of their defense, so they should be improved there. I know they haven't had a great defense, but again, when you compare Oregon State and Colorado, I'm going to give the nod to Oregon State, but to me, those are kind of clearly the bottom two teams in the Pac-12 right now. Number 10 is Arizona, a team that I have hyped up the last couple of years. The last 2 years, I've thought that they had a shot to maybe win the South. They have really disappointed and proven that they're just not ready. And I don't know if Arizona's ever really going to hurt in the immediate future going to compete in the Pac-12 South. They do have a good bit coming back, though. 73% of their total production, 79% of their defense comes back. They have the worst recruiting class in the Pac-12 according to 24/7 Sports. So again, the talent level at Arizona maybe not where it needs to be, and I've got them at number 10. Mike Leach is gone from Washington State. That's why I have them at number 9. I think they're going to miss him. It's going to be a transition year. Didn't have a great year last year, and they get wiped out on offense. Just 36% of their offense comes back. So I think it's just going to be one of those down years. They're going to have to kind of go in a different direction now that Mike Leach is gone, and I don't expect a whole lot from Washington State this season. We'll see what they look like, with the Mike Leach era now over, and see what the future looks like for Washington State, which is going to be really interesting. Number 8, a team that I think a lot of people just keep expecting to get better with Chip Kelly as their head coach. Hasn't happened yet. Is this the year? I don't know. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot last season to where I really would be super optimistic about this team moving forward. Defensively, they only bring back 53% of their production. Offensively, you expect them to be better. Third year under Chip Kelly, you would expect this offense to finally start to look the way you would expect a Chip Kelly offense to look. But again, I just haven't seen the signs yet. Maybe they get it done this offseason. I don't know. Number 7 is Stanford. They had a really bad year last year, had some injury issues. This is a program that was competing in the Pac-12 North pretty much every year, but it just has not worked out for them the last couple of years. They've kind of changed their identity a little bit. Used to be really good defense, run the football. A little different, I guess, for them in the last couple of seasons. They bring back 73% of their production, though, 71% on offense, 74% on defense. So they have a lot coming back. They had a pretty solid recruiting class as well, number 3 in the Pac-12. So I'm expecting Stanford to bounce back. I don't know if it's going to be enough to really compete in the North, but I think they do bounce back. A team that I expect to kind of drop off a little bit is Utah. Now, they've been really consistent over the years at reloading, and they do what they do every single year. But this year, I think it might be a little bit tougher. Just 37% of their production returns, 48% on offense, 27% on defense. Defense is where I think they're really going to have some questions with all that they lost. They bring in the grad transfer Jake Bentley from South Carolina at quarterback. That's going to be interesting to see. I think the offense will be okay, but it's the defense that I worry about a little bit with Utah. Number 5 is Arizona State. Herm Edwards has done a pretty solid job with the Sun Devils so far. They bring back 63% of their production, only 50% on offense, but 76% on defense. Jaden Daniels, freshman quarterback last year, looked pretty solid. Looked like he was going to be the future for this program. I'm expecting in year 2 he makes even more improvement. They're going to miss Eno Benjamin and some of those playmakers around him. But I still think Herm Edwards has proven that he can get it done here at Arizona State, and I've got them in the top 5 at number 5 here in our power rankings. Number 4 is Washington. Peterson's gone. That's a big blow. Jacob Eason's gone. They lost a good bit from last season, but they've recruited pretty well. Just talent-wise, Washington, one of the top teams in the Pac-12, just as far as their roster talent goes. Only 52% of their production returning, only 30% on offense. That's where they really are going to miss some guys. But they do have 74% back on defense, so I think the defense will be pretty solid. They had a very solid recruiting class in this 2020 class, number 2 in the Pac-12. So I'm going to put Washington up here at number 4. But at number 3, I've actually got Cal. And when I first started thinking about the teams and thinking about how I'd rank these teams, Cal didn't really cross my mind as being a top 5 or even top 3 type team this year. But when you look at the roster and look what they bring back, 93% of their offense, a defense, yes, only 50% comes back there, but they've proven that they can get it done on that side of the ball. Chase Garbers, when he was in there and healthy, I think a lot of people forget the first part of the season, Cal is a top 25 team. I think they get back to playing at that level, and I think they're right now maybe the 3rd best team in the Pac-12. Number 2 is USC. I know they had a horrible recruiting class, and that's going to hurt them in the future, but I don't think it's going to have a major impact this season because they were already so young. They lead the Pac-12 in returning production. 82% of their production is back. 87% of their production on defense returns. I know they weren't great on defense, but with all those guys back, you would expect to see some improvement. They've got a ton of talent on offense. This team is going to score some points. I've got them as the early favorite in the Pac-12 South just because of that offense. If the defense can improve a little bit, watch out. This could be a very dangerous team. And then at number 1, it's Oregon. I don't think there's really any doubt about the number 1 team in the Pac-12. They are clearly ahead of everyone else, in my opinion. Had the number 1 recruiting class this past season. I mean, they're recruiting like SEC schools recruit. They added 3 5-stars. A lot of those big recruits are on defense. They are loaded on defense. I mean, loaded. We're talking about not just the Pac-12, but one of the better defenses in the country. They bring back 81% of their production. Plus, like I said, they added some really nice players in recruiting. Offense is going to be the question, particularly at the quarterback spot. Justin Herbert is gone. That is going to determine how far Oregon can go. If they get good quarterback play, this is a national championship contender. If they don't, they're still probably going to win the Pac-12, honestly, but not quite to the level that they could achieve if they had a really good quarterback. So that's the one thing for Oregon, but I think just talent-wise and with this defense, you have to put Oregon at number 1. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. How would you rank these teams? Feel free to rank them 1 through 12 in your comment. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.